If you want to stop cracking when you sing high notes, then you've come to the right place. Hello, this is Cake Play Music. My name is Karen. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about vocal cracking and what it really is and why it happens. In order to understand this, we need to dive into what's happening when we sing at the vocal fold level. So your vocal folds are two little flaps that sit in your larynx or voice box that's at the top of your windpipe. And when you exhale, you can bring your vocal folds together over top of your air, and they will start to oscillate or vibrate, which is what creates sound. And that's how we talk and sing. Your vocal folds are surrounded in a layer of muscles, and these muscles change the shape and size of our vocal folds so that we can sing different types of notes. For example, your really low notes require your vocal folds to be short and thick, but your high notes require your vocal folds to be long and skinny. So these muscles help to change the shape and the size of your vocal folds, but they also help to control how close together your vocal folds are over top of your airflow. We can have our vocal folds really close together, which creates a lot of air pressure hitting them from below, and that will give us more of a pressy sound. Or we can have our vocal folds be a little bit further apart, allowing more air to pass through, which is going to give us more of a breathy sound. So now let's talk about that pesky high range vocal crack and why our voice tends to crack more when we're up in the high notes. In our low range, it's a lot easier to bring our vocal folds closed over top of intense air pressure because they're short and thick. But as we move up into our higher notes and our vocal folds get longer and longer and skinnier, it's more challenging for these long and skinny vocal folds to stay closed over really intense airflow. So oftentimes we'll see singers using a lot of external muscle in their neck to physically squish their vocal folds to keep them together, which is straining. Or we'll see singers go up into the high range and bring their vocal folds really tightly together, and they can only sustain that for a couple of seconds because those teeny tiny vocal muscles can't keep your long and skinny high note vocal folds closed over air pressure, and then it just lets go and it cracks out. That is too much air pressure and too much vocal fold connection for such high ranges. Now, that does not mean that you can't bring powerful, connected vocal tones into the high range. You absolutely can, but you either have to have more space between the vocal folds or less air pressure coming up from below in order to balance this so that your little teeny tiny vocal fold muscles can handle it. And this is what singers call mixed tone. Mixed tone is such a beautiful spot in your voice because it does allow you to bring a lot of that power that you have in your chest voice up into the ranges of your head voice. And the reason this is called mixed tone is because singers tend to feel some sympathetic vibrations in both their chest and in their head, so it's a little bit of both chest voice and head voice. Now, depending on how much vocal fold closure you have at the vocal fold level in your larynx, that's going to give us a different mixture of chest versus head. So if you have all the way closed vocal folds, that's going to sound like your chest voice. If you start to open your vocal folds a little bit and add more airflow passing through them, we're going to get more of a chesty mix. As you add more space and pull back on volume, we're going to get a head dominant mix. And then as you bring your vocal folds all the way open in that high range, we're going to get that straight head voice. Just imagine if your chest voice was blue and your head voice was yellow, your mixed tone could be all different shades of green based on how much airflow you're using and how much vocal fold connection you're using. Now, mixed tone can be a really tricky thing to learn. A lot of singers, when they go into that high range and they want to add power, they think this is hard, so they go huh! and add all this tension, and oftentimes when we're using our mixed tone, we actually need to have less muscle engagement than we're used to. And so instead of going for these big, high, powerful notes where you tense up, I want you to try and stay nice and relaxed. Really try not to push for volume, but instead listen to the tone and the amount of airflow in your tone. Mixed tone is deceiving because it's really not that loud. A lot of the time singers use their mic technique to make their mixed tone sound really loud, when in reality, it just has the same tonal qualities as your chest voice, but it doesn't necessarily have the same amount of volume. So that's why our voices crack. We're using too much vocal fold connection in too high of ranges. And instead, we need to back off on that vocal fold connection, allow a little bit more airflow, and move into our mixed tone. I'm going to show you my favorite exercise for mixed tone. This exercise naturally has a little bit of a sinus resonance to it because we are going to be using the sound na. Imagine that you're exhaling through your nose, okay? The air isn't actually going to come out of your nose, but we really want to keep our sinuses nice and open. So this should not sound like Kermit the Frog. Instead, it should sound like this. Nay, nay. We're just trying to open our sinuses and move our resonance into our sinuses, into the mask area, okay? In the lower ranges, we can put quite a bit of vocal fold connection on it. Nay. But as we get into the higher notes, we actually have to back off on vocal fold connection and volume quite a bit in order to maintain that powerful sound. Okay, let's jump into it. Na, 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 na. 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 Na, na, Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it helped you understand your voice better so that you can get on top of those pesky vocal cracks and have that connected, strong, powerful range. My name is Karen. This is K Clay Music, and I'll see you next time.